remember back in community college, because I went to community college, I wanted to take a language class. And at the time, I was already very much interested in K-pop. So, I wanted to take a Korean class. However, for some reason, my college had like every other Asian language class except Korean. We had Japanese, we had Chinese, we had Vietnamese, we had Filipino. But there was no Korean class, which was weird. But anyway, I was asking a few friends who were learning Korean, like, can you suggest any websites or like materials for me to check out, to learn Korean? And my friends suggested Talk to Me in Korean. And I would have never thought that I would one day be getting to hang out and have coffee with the CEO, I guess, of Talk to Me in Korean, Hyunwoo 선생님. And yeah, so he recently was kind enough to send their books to me, and I was ecstatic because I was using the website for like the longest time, and Talk to Me in Korean's method of teaching Korean. I've talked about this website before. I know I have a lot of new viewers, so I wanted to reintroduce the website, because they also have a lot of new books. And now that I have all of them, because I only had a few before, I just think that Talk to Me in Korean has a really fantastic method of teaching Korean, because I've gone to the bookstore and I've looked for their books in person, and I've seen the other like teaching Korean as a second language books, but they're all like really confusing. But I just feel like Talk to Me in Korean teaches Korean in a way that just makes sense. So in this video, I'm gonna like kind of overview their the kinds of books that they have, but honestly, on the website, all their lessons are for free, so you can actually just access all of these lessons for free on the website. But for me, I just wanted the books because I like to have it in person and I can write in them. So before we actually get into like a bulk of like the actual lessons, I guess, I'm going to talk about the Hangul Master book. This is literally just a book that teaches you, how to read and write the Korean language, which I think is really a really important step in getting into learning the language of Korean. I took Japanese in college. However, I feel like Japanese, it's easy to Romanize the everything because it's all, what's the word? Phonetic? Is that the right word? Anyway, it's just easy to write Japanese with Roman letters. However, Korean is a whole different story. It's like there's multiple different systems of doing it. So I think it's just important to just learn how to read Korean. I actually didn't learn from this book. I learned from, I actually started with Rosetta Stone. Do any of us know Rosetta Stone? I'm sure we all have heard of Rosetta Stone. And I always thought like, oh my god, this method is ingenious, but it's like the worst way to learn a language, to be honest. But I did get started learning to read Korean from that, and then moving to Korea with my family. That's when I kind of refined my ability to read Korean. But I think this would be a great source to help you get started, because it actually teaches you how to write each actual character and explain. Oh my god, I fucking love. That's one thing I freaking love about Talk to Me in Korean, is everything is very visual. All the other books are so like, it's just words, so all I see is text, and I'm a very visual person, so I like how it combines both like actual illustration and like very informational, like written information. So this book gives you like space to learn, practice your writing your Hangul, and yeah, because I've seen on Instagram and YouTube and all that, people that try to they want to write Korean, but they write it in Roman letters, and it just, I don't know. Just learning to write and type or whatever in Hangul just will get you started with that and learning Korean. So now for the books that actually make Talk to Me in Korean such a fantastic source to learn Korean, the level books, like the actual, like the lessons. This is the new cover, I think, but the lessons, yeah, the lessons are the same. They break down different kinds of sentence, I guess, lessons into really short, easy to understand kind of lessons. They explain it all in English, and then they give you a lot of examples, so you get different situations, and they give you a lot of like real life situation sort of examples, so you're learning to use these sort of grammatical things in the proper situations, which is really, it's important to learn from examples, especially in Korean, because a lot of times people try to like directly translate from English to Korean, so it sounds really fucking awkward. Talk to Me in Korean really breaks down each lesson to make it easy to understand, and as you continue, you'll start to really build your bank of like vocabulary and like sentence grammar structure, etc., so that, I don't know, just the way that they structure it, it just makes it easy to grow your Korean in like a proper way. And of course, as you're going on through the levels, they get a little bit more difficult and a little bit more complex, but because you're learning at like a really good pace, it never feels overwhelming, which is what keeps me from learning Korean sometimes, is, or what before at least, like any other language, is just, I feel like they're throwing all this information at me like at one time, but Talk to Me in Korean really breaks it down into like easy bite-sized pieces. Like I said, all these lessons are actually, each lesson is actually available for free online, and you can download them and you can print them, but if you want a physical copy with everything in one place, then you can get the books. And this is actually only like, this is 13,000 won, that's about $10, $11, $12, which I think is actually a really good price, because there are some really expensive books. But yeah, it's just packed full of information. The illustrations, like I said, are really, really cute. To go along with the lessons, you get the, there's a workbook for each, well, I think there's one workbook per level, but I have the first 4. These are just the workbooks that, you know, they follow along with the lessons in the normal lesson books. So you can use it to further like reiterate the lessons that you learned, because an important thing about language learning is that you need to reinforce what you learned. Because for me, I'm really bad at this, but I'll read through a lesson, I'm like, oh shit, yes, I get it, I understand totally, and you will, but then you'll forget about it if you don't like reinforce it. So you need to read through the lesson, you need to carefully read each example. You don't have to like force yourself to like memorize each thing, but try to like repeat it in your head. And it also helps to like, you know, have the workbook with you, because you'll be writing, and as you're just writing and figure things out, it's reinforcing it in your head. Because girl, I am not one to like sit there and try to memorize things. A big part of learning Korean as well is like real life situations, which I think is why it's great to come to Korea and like be completely surrounded and immersed with learning Korean and people that actually speak Korean. So like it all is ingrained. It's like because it's one thing to learn Korean in class, but it's another thing to learn Korean and be surrounded by a bunch of Korean speakers. Because you know those Koreans that go to America, like LA, to learn English, doesn't happen because everyone in LA already speaks Korean. So a big part of learning Korean as well is, well, any language actually, is just verbs. Verbs in Korean are like, you know, in Japanese, one of the hardest things is kanji, and memorizing kanji for each like word or whatever. In Korean, I feel like the hard thing is learning to conjugate each verb. Eventually you get the hang of it and you'll get used to it. The verb thing is just a whole, I don't know, it's just a really difficult part of Korean. But in order to form sentences, you need to learn verbs. So that's why they have these books for verbs. There's this one, My Weekly Korean Vocabulary. It's basically every day you're gonna have a different verb that you can learn, again, with the cute illustrations. I think it was the drawing project. Basically, each word comes with a cute little drawing, so it helps reinforce the meaning of the word. So for example, you have the root word 말하다, and it gives you basically what it means, and then it gives you different examples about how you can use it in sentences and how you can conjugate the verbs. So like making it past, present, future, things of that nature. And you're getting up to 12 weeks of material from just one book. So you can either go slowly, you know, learn one word every day, which is great. Or if you're those people that like to learn quickly, you can go through 5 words in one day. And they come with a ton of examples, so you always know when to use the right word. And there's 2 of them. So you have like 24 weeks of material just right here. Or if you're interested in learning just like the really important verbs, they have the Korean Verbs Guide. It comes with 2 books in one, so you're paying for these 2 together. But these just come with like the most important words that you're probably going to be using when you're speaking the Korean language. Speaking of important words and things like that, there's this book called Survival Korean. I already have this one from before. If you're gonna come to Korea, this book is just jam-packed full of information. It gives you like basic phrases. I guess this is under the assumption that you have a kind of basic understanding of like some Korean. So it gives you sentences for situations like when you go to the restaurant, like how you order food, how you ask for a look at the bathroom, you know, like survival Korean, I guess. I've met a lot of people that come to Korea but don't really show interest in trying to learn Korean. And I mean, you can totally get by without really properly learning Korean, but I suggest like trying a little bit, you know what I mean? So I think this would be a great book for if you come to Korea. If you come to Korea. When learning Korean, I think an important thing to do is to find or try to find a Korean. Don't ask me where I can find them because I live in Korea, so I can kind of meet friends here already. But if you live overseas, it's a whole different story. But I think it'd be great if you have like a Korean pen pal you can practice with. And a big part of like even just talking to your friends in whatever language you speak, it's kind of like when you're texting them. A lot of conversation just comes from like questions like, oh hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this, what about you, etc, etc. So this book, Korean Q&A Sentence Patterns, kind of reinforces that. It literally just has a bunch of questions and several different like responses that you can give. I wish I had this when I was learning Korean. I just think it's a really fantastic resource for when like I said, when people are asking you questions, a lot of times you want to give an answer more than just yes or no. So you can spice up your answers by, learning from here. This is great for if you have like a pretty decent grasp of the Korean language and you want to kind of spice up your Korean, especially when you're starting to conversate with people. I think this would be a really great resource. I've actually been reading this and this one lately. This one is the My Daily Routine in Korean. Like I said, going along with when you're talking to your friends, you kind of just talk about your day, honestly. At least I do. I'm really boring. This book goes to like when you wake up, when you wash your face, showering, getting dressed, putting your makeup on, doing everyday things. And like the verbs book, this book has a bunch of verbs for like these everyday sorts of things that you do. There's even a page about contact lenses. This, along with this and the main lessons, really fantastic books. You don't see a lot of that when it comes to other like language learning books. They're all very like things that you don't really use. These kinds of books are the kinds of things that teach you phrases that you would use to help you with like, especially like free speaking, which can be a huge obstacle for any language, especially Koreans learning English. They can read, they can write, but they just have trouble speaking. One thing that really deterred me from learning Korean is idiomatic expressions. Idiomatic expressions are extremely difficult in any language because it's basically just sentences that mean one thing, but like they really mean another thing. So for example, 뭐지? 밀당. I use this one a lot. 밀당하다. 밀당 literally means to push and pull, but you use it in a situation like someone is being very like, they're playing hard to get, like if there's like a boy or girl that you like, but they're being very hard to get. They're being 밀당해. Like I said, if you have a decent grasp of the Korean language, but you want to learn more difficult things, this isn't necessarily difficult, it's just, different. This is a really interesting book to have as a resource. And again, illustrations galore. But I freaking love Talk to Me in Korean for the illustrations because it makes things easier to understand in a way. It gives you like an illustration of like the literal meaning of the word, but then it explains it. It gives you example situations for each idiomatic expression. If you're the kind of person that wants to take learning Korean very, very seriously and you want to learn about, current news, this would be the book for you. News in Korean. It teaches you a bunch of words that, I don't know, there's like, even with English, there's business English, there's kind of the English you would see or hear on the news. So this is basically it, but for Korean. It teaches you those words that you would see in the news, give you examples, and reinforce that. This is very much more of like a very wordy book, but there's a few illustrations here and there, but this is definitely for those if you want to take your Korean to like the next level. I'm really glad that they have this in there because I need to start learning how to read, sorry. I need to start learning how to do that. Read Korean news, because even though I'm American, I think it's important, as much as I hate politics and things like that, it'd be nice to see what's going on in the news. Like when I turn on the news, I just see all this information being thrown at me, but I don't understand any of it. And also, if you're a fan of K-pop, there's some juicy news on like Dispatch, but of course you need to learn how to read like news Korean for that, so that would be a great resource. Then last but not least, slang. I don't know. Of course, every language has their slang, and if you're especially, friends with the youngins, then there's so much slang in Korean, it's not even funny. I had to learn it all on my own. I never had this book. So, yeah, I mean, I did ask my friend, like, do people use some of these words? And Korean is just one of those languages that there's like new words and slang phrases that kids keep making up these days, even in English, that, I'm sure at some point they're probably going to stop using some of these, but if you go on Instagram and things like that, they use very different Korean. So having a resource like this, you can maybe learn some of those things. This is one word I use all the time, 짜증나. Getting upset. Oh my god. This is another one of those really fun books. I think it'd be great to have if you're got a pretty good grasp of Korean and you want to take it to the next level. So yeah, that was an overview of all of the books. If you made it this far, awesome for you. If you're interested in purchasing any of the books, or you want to check out the lessons online, which again are for free, I will link those down below for you to check them out. Also, make sure you follow Talk to Me Korean on their YouTube channel, because they do have a YouTube channel, which is also a great resource for like visual learning, and you get like actual examples and see what's going on. I really want to thank Hyunwoo, Sunseung-nim, and everyone at Talk to Me Korean for helping me learn Korean. Well, the amount of Korean that I know now. I really don't speak Korean that well. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.